That was one of the craziest endings to a basketball game I have ever seen.
And this is for the win. Oh! It's close. They're going to call it. Did Gordon beat the buzzer?
Yes, that really happened, and this ending is even crazier when you recognize the Denver Nuggets were leading by 20 points entering the fourth quarter. Yeah, the Denver Nuggets were 0.1 seconds away from one of the biggest choke jobs in playoff history. But you know what they say, a win is a win, and despite making it harder than it ever should have been, this win was because of one man and one man only. Well, actually Aaron Gordon as well, but the best player on the planet in particular. After going down 2-1 following a blowout loss in Game 3, there was a lot of talk about the Nuggets roster and even about Nikola Jokic, with your usual clowns on Twitter and social media blaming him for being down 2-1, and a lot of people suggesting the series was over. The Nuggets would be lucky to win another game. You know what? That's fine, because when you are the best player in the world and a 3-time MVP, the standards are different. And you know what? That's fine, because against a team with much better talent at home, none of that mattered, because Nikola Jokic simply decided he wasn't going to let his team lose.
Jokic, twisting, turning for the lead. Got it! Got it!
And after a good first half from Jokic, including this three at the end of the first quarter,
it's off to Jokic, a 3 over Zubac.
that's a 7-footer doing that, by the way. It was the third quarter where Jokic really put on a masterclass. He started things off by setting the screen for Gordon, getting the seal against Harden, and that's just a ridiculous shot, turning over his left shoulder with Dunn contesting from behind. And if you want to see more versatility, how about the next play where he inbounds the ball to Brown? He relocates to the corner with AG setting a screen for him to pump fake Dunn before knocking down the corner 3. And don't worry, you get the physicality as well, because after hitting a few jumpers, he went to work, this time eating up the space, and it's just soft as ever with that touch over Zubac. Or here, this time taking Simmons off the dribble, and look how low he is when he picks the ball up with Batum contesting and somehow makes it. I mean, the touch on that shot. These are the kind of shots you see from 6-foot guards, faking out a defender at the 3-point line, going low, and then a floater over the top of another defender. The difference is, Jokic is 7 foot, 280 pounds, like I said, and as I mentioned, he will also use that weight against you. Derrick Jones Jr. found that out as he sealed him before spinning off him, and even with the contact from Harden, it didn't matter. And then just to finish things off, because why not, how about relocating into a movement 3 with Christian Brown needing a get out of jail free card. All of this in one quarter. All of this with the game on the line and your team's backs against the wall. And it wasn't just scoring either, with him recording 4 assists in this quarter, with 2 of those assists just being a result of MPJ having his shot stuck on automatic all night long, and the other 2 assists being easy layups generated from his gravity. Like here, where he gets it near the 3-point line. Kawhi goes to double, nearly gets the steal, but it's Jokic's ability to look off Simmons before throwing the pass to Watson underneath for the dunk. This is why Jokic is so incredible at beating double teams, because it leaves the defense in those exact situations where there is a 2-on-1 at some position on the floor, and Jokic will find that 2-on-1 and he will make you pay every single time. And then you also have his gravity, like here where he gives the handoff to Murray, and watch Zubac clear out of the way because of Jokic's shooting threat, and that's a straight line drive for Murray to the rim. I see people talking about Jokic's dribble handoffs being fake assists. That is a wide open layup created because of Jokic's gravity. And all of this resulted in a stat line of 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Wait, that's not that good for Jokic. That was only in the third quarter. Players get paid $20 million a year to put up that kind of production. Jokic can do that in a quarter, which means he's worth $80 million a year. Honestly, That sounds right, to be honest. And that sounds more right when you recognize this is just what he has been doing in the postseason for the last 3 seasons. Guys, people were saying Jokic was disappointing the first 3 games of these playoffs. He averaged 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists on great efficiency throughout those 3 games. And you know what? They weren't exactly wrong, because he is just a level above everyone else. And when he plays at his best, well, you saw it in game 4, he goes to a transcendent level. And if you want to hear a crazy stat, over his last 36 playoff games, the Nuggets have outscored their opponents in 28 of those games with Jokic on the floor. That is 78% of the time. And this was another game where Jokic and the starters could not rest for a minute in the second half, because there is zero faith and there is zero confidence in the bench. Just compare this to, let's say, the OKC Thunder and the guy who will win the MVP. They have a bench involving 2 of the best guard defenders in the league and 2 guys in Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins who are dead-eye shooters. No elite defenders, no shooting off the bench. You are relying on 40-year-old DeAndre Jordan and Jalen Pickett and maybe Russell Westbrook on 1 foot. But we'll save that for another day. Right now, we are appreciating what Nikola Jokic did this game despite those circumstances. And if there is one other player who deserves a lot of credit for his performance, obviously Aaron Gordon, who is just the ultimate role player and the best teammate Jokic could ever ask for, but Michael Porter Jr., you just have to give him credit. Entering the game with 1 functioning shoulder and some question marks over his play and his value even when both of his shoulders are working, with no Russell Westbrook and not a single player on that bench who should be seeing playoff minutes, as I've mentioned, the Nuggets needed Michael Porter Jr. Let me say that again. They needed Michael Porter Jr. And not only did he get out there and compete, but he made some ridiculous shots. He started things off quite simple, with Jokic driving in the paint, kicking it out, and he has the advantage of being 6'9", so he just shoots straight over the top of Kawhi Leonard. But the next 3 threes that he made, starting with a nasty step back in Kawhi's face, followed by another 3 with Harden right in his face, and the last of them was just ridiculous, with Jokic throwing him the ball in the corner and just burying that 3. And you just can't overstate how important this is, because not only do you get those 15 points, but you aren't going to help off Michael Porter Jr. to double Jokic, or if you do, that's going to be a mistake. Even with 1 shoulder, even with the question marks over everything else on his game, you will back him to make shots more often than not from 3-point range. There is a reason Jokic had such a great scoring game, because they pretty much only played the starters, which meant he wasn't out there with Peyton Watson, Russell Westbrook, and Jalen Pickett, who the Clippers have no intentions of guarding. In fact, the one guy they were helping off at all times was Christian Brown, and he's the X factor, because if he can make the Clippers pay for how they are guarding him like he did during the regular season, the Nuggets have a shot at winning this series. But he simply can't continue to be a non-threat from 3-point range. It just won't work. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. There is zero reason the Denver Nuggets should win this series. They are outmatched at every position in the starting lineup and on the bench, with the Clippers having an elite coaching staff and then the Nuggets having a guy who has coached 5 games in his career, with 2 of the Nuggets starters both seriously injured to go on top of the talent gap that these 2 teams already have. But one of these teams has Nikola Jokic, and that right there is enough for me to believe anything can happen. If you want to hear me continue to talk about that going forward, consider subscribing for more content like that. Dropping a like on the video would be cool. Most importantly, have a great day. Bye.